Alright, Forde, thank you very much for taking some time out to speak to us today. The Golden Jaguars would have started preparation a bit belatedly for those important engagements coming up later this year. Talk to us a bit about what point we are at this point, and how satisfied are you with what you've seen over the last couple of weeks?
Thank you for having me, Avenash. The feedback that I've received from the technical staff has been very positive. During the pandemic, our physical trainer had been circulating personal workout programs for our players, and he was very pleased that the evidence so far seems to indicate that they were taking those workout programs very seriously and they were applying it. Many of the players I learned that went back into camp are at a decent level of fitness despite the long layoff. So it will make the work of the head coach and his staff to get to the tactical and technical aspect of the preparation much easier than they had anticipated before they got into camp.
Right. Whenever we're putting together a senior national football team, or any other football team for that matter, for international engagements, we have always had this discussion about local-based, foreign-based. What is the Federation's stance on the possible combination of the squad for the Golden Jaguars this year, given the fact that some of the local-based players have not had any pitch time compared to those overseas? Is there an advantage-disadvantage situation going on here?
Well, I think someone who has been playing active football at a high level will always have an advantage over someone who is not playing at a high level. And when you combine that with not playing for almost a year, there is clearly an advantage for the person who's playing consistently at a high level. But I think the real question that you're asking me is about balance, and that's obviously that's something that's very topical for many years in our football space. As I would have said last night on one of an interview I was doing on a separate media house, the Guyana Football Federation overarching policy as it relates to the Golden Jaguar is to always put out the strongest possible team. We have given some very clear and broad guidelines to the senior men national team coach, Coach Maximo. He understands exactly what we expect to see. He understands the performance that we expect to see on the pitch. We are making tremendous investment in the program. Our goal is to, over the next couple of years, to have the #1 national team program in the region. So it would be the judgment of the national team coach. We have set ourselves some very interesting goals for the World Cup Qualifier and the Gold Cup, which will commence in July. So he is fully aware of those goals. He understands the overall strategy that we have, and it is his decision and his team to sit together and make the best decision with regards to putting the strongest possible team out there.
Alright, after about 10 months, you had an opportunity to see local players on the show in the Kashman Shanghai Bounce Back tournament. Just 3 matches, but what has been the feedback from the technical team in terms of what we have seen on the pitch with those players?
Well, if I may, it's the GFF KNS Bounce Back event, and we've had trouble with that. I think everyone was pleasantly surprised that after being out of structured football for the better part of 10 months, the game was a good quality. The games were good quality games. You can see clearly that the pace of the players were a bit off. The game was a bit slow, but in terms of the overall technique, receiving the ball, passing the ball, I think in general you had to be pleased with what you would have seen, given the fact that all of those players would have been inactive for quite a bit of time.
Looking ahead to these games coming up now, obviously the ultimate aim for yourself and for the team is to register victories. That is what you want at the end of the day. What are some of the other objectives the Federation and the technical staff would like to see coming out of these games, apart from victories, of course?
Well, football is an interesting game, and you will have seen games where a team plays very well, dominate the game, and end up losing. And that's just the reality. What may happen on the day. We want to see a team that goes out and plays with confidence, try to impose their style and their will on the opposition. We know that some of the opponents that we'll be coming up against, we have to be a bit more conservative. I know the head coach and his staff are studying those opponents individually, and they're working out strategies on how they will treat with it. But I think what Guyana really needs to see, and what we want to see, is a national team that is going out there and making an attempt to play boldly, trying to impose their will on the opposition. And if for some reason we don't come out successful, the nation must be proud of the performance of the team. I would hope that some of our players that are still here, playing within our domestic structure, can get playing time, and it can open up opportunities for them for international signings. So that is something that we are constantly working on behind the scene, and the visibility that will come with the World Cup Qualifier and then the Concacaf Gold Cup Preliminaries is a showcase for many of our local players, and that is why I've been so eager to get them back on the pitch, and I really trust that the head coach would be able to bring them back up to shape as quickly as possible so we can have a good and a fair representation of our local players in the final selection.
What's next in this preparatory period? I know you wanted to have some international friendlies as well.
We have, I think we want to have about 2 friendlies before we get into competition. Again, you know, COVID-19 is still dictating a lot of what we do, because it's not just about wanting to have a friendly, it's whether you're going to have the resources and the approval to bring a team to Guyana, put them up in place. So those are the factors that we're still working on, and we'll know, but ideally we would like to play 2 friendlies before we get into active competition.
All right, I know in October last year you guys established a marketing committee to really promote the Golden Jaguars brand. How are things going in terms of that aspect of preparation?
It's going very good. I know they've already started some of the engagement with corporate partners. Right now they're actively pursuing support for the preparation of the team.
Right.
So it will cost us quite a bit each day we have the team training. So our marketing committee is already engaging many companies, trying to have them provide some level of support that will offset the costs that we're incurring in the preparation period. And I know they're already engaging larger partners for more investment for the competition phase of what we're doing right now.
Good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.